Welcome to The Well, where we get together and talk about life and death and everything in between. My name is Pastor Carrie, and with all respect to Thomas Jefferson and his awesome song, What Did I Miss? My favorite Secretary of State is Madeleine Albright.
Nice. My name is Jay, and my current favorite candy bar is the Simply Caramel Milky Way.
My name is Pastor Tim, and my favorite form of traffic is the traffic circle. Yes, I love them. Yes, I do. While I'm speaking of traffic, I want to lift up sidewalks everywhere and thank them for keeping my kids off the streets.
Excellent.
That one came from the book that Pastor Carrie bought me on dad jokes.
Guilty.
Thank you, Pastor Carrie.
Thank you, Pastor Carrie.
Yeah,
Question mark?
What? All right, good time to meet Mel. Hey, Mel.
Hi, Mel.
Hi,
Nice
Mel.
to see you. Say hi to everybody. Okay, excellent. Mel lives down at the bottom of the well where we meet, and he has been collecting for many years topics of conversations that have been had at the well between people and writing them down just in case anyone ever wanted to talk about anything cool. So he's going to lend us a couple of his topics today. You ready to go for it, Mel? All right, here we go. All right. Got one right away this time.
Wow.
I mean, he's going to start off easy on us, or
Yeah, I guess so.
time will tell.
There we go. All right, thank you, Mel.
Oh, it's got multiple question marks.
Oh,
It's always keeping. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. So Mel did not start us off easy, folks. What difference does voting make? Do you think being involved in your community in other ways is more important? Have you ever intentionally not voted? Why?
okay.
So lots of questions in one question.
Got it.
I'll lay it out for us.
I figure, answer the ones that are most interesting to you. I have never not intentionally voted. I think voting is very important. It says, what difference does voting make? To me, voting makes a difference in each of our individually, like one vote, right? But each time we vote, we tell ourselves and everyone else that we're invested in this system that we all share, and this system of a government asking its citizens what they think. It became much more important to me when I spent some time in China, and know what it's like when a group of people are never asked what their opinion is, and certainly if they give their opinion, not allowed necessarily to sometimes give that opinion in any kind of like free way. And I learned to really appreciate my opportunity to formally declare how I think something should work. So I take it very seriously. I do believe being involved in other ways is important too, but I believe very strongly in voting.
On my 18th birthday, I registered to vote. That's how important it is to me. I think it's so very important. It's yes, it's important to be involved in your community. I don't think this is an either or. Right. I think if you're involved in voting, you're also involved in your community.
For sure.
I've never intentionally not voted. I have missed votes for like local elections sometimes because I just forgot, yeah, that would be what I would lift up with that. But what irritates me, and I hope people don't get upset about this, but I don't understand this current wave of trying to limit access to voting. I think everybody should have free and easy voting because we're all in this country together. Right. And you might say this is political, but I don't think it is. I think it's let the people say what the people want to say. And if you disagree with them, quieting them is the coward's way out. Mm-hmm. So, and I think voting is very, very important.
Yeah, I think.
And if you have a problem with what I said, you can email me at maybe@stlukes-elca.org.
I think I want to follow up on that really quick. That I think the way you preface that is really important. That for me personally, and I think was enough nods here for this. It's actually not. It's not political, and I want to like say that again. Like at the end of the day, if it's free and fair election and everybody's voice was heard, and then this is what was decided, then that's something that as a community we decided. Whether it was then we actually did decide it together. And so I think that is important, which is why I take voting seriously as well. Of like, I grew up with, I remember he has registered to vote now, but up until like literally a couple of years ago, my grandpa, I remember hearing him be like, "Well, it's just one vote." Well, if enough of us say that, right, then how we feel if our whole community starts to believe that, then our whole community view of the town or neighborhood we're a part of, depending on what you're voting on, isn't heard. And so I do take that seriously. I have had moments where I've missed a vote, but never intentionally like in an apathetic, like it doesn't matter way, because it's the same as both of you. I do take it seriously and think our voice matters, and not just in the vote we cast, but in the example we set to generations to come of that voice mattering, and even in again, not in a political sense, just in the sense of like where there are areas where it at least feels like it's not as free and fair. It's a sense of I know there's a lot of connotations to this word, but it's a sense of protest of this voice still matters in this. So I think it does matter. I think if you take voting seriously, I would hope the next step would be to be involved in your community in other ways too. So if you're going to vote that,
Exactly.
taxpayer money goes to helping people who are experiencing homelessness, that you would be involved in packing the food bags or whatever it is as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it's maybe the beginning, but certainly not the end of
Oh no. Yeah.
of our responsibility to each other.
Yeah, I think it's both and not either or, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
The question was, I think.
Yeah,
paid
kind of
her
a little
wrong.
bit funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. All right, Mel, you started off pretty hot. All right, let's drive back in, see what we've got. He keeps hitting his eyeballs.
Yeah, he is just
Table. That
smacking
is
his eyes on the
not
table.
a good sound. Okay, here he comes. Looks like he's okay though, so that's good. All right.
Resilient.
Excellent.
Poor eyeballs. All right. Quote, "You can't convince a believer of anything, for their belief is not based on evidence. It's based on a deep-seated need to believe." That's a quote by Dr. Carl Sagan. Discuss. One more time. "You can't convince a believer of anything, for their belief is not based on evidence. It's based on a deep-seated need to believe." Oh, that Carl Sagan.
I will begin with saying I like a lot of what Carl Sagan says, but he has a deep-seated need to not believe. And
Amen.
I'm
I think
saying
that's
this for a
true.
reason because I was an atheist. I saw it as my duty to challenge Christians, and I realized at one point, being an atheist is very close to being a believer of Christian or whatever, because both of them are based on faith. Faith of something, faith of nothing.
Yeah.
To me, the way I basically take stands on things, being agnostic is wishy-washy. It's the easy way out. You have faith in one thing or another. So I think the idea of faith in either that there is something or isn't something, I can understand. The idea that, I don't get that. So, and I believe you can convince a believer of anything but their belief, because my belief system has changed radically over the last number of years, going basically from growing up with a very strong decision theology and very strong moralistic code, to leaving the church, to coming back with that same strong decision theology and moralistic code, to becoming now where it's really that God, I truly believe God works through all things. God is working through the work of Carl Sagan. God is working through the work of all who may not believe in God. And God is working through the work and understanding and faith of those of different faith traditions. That God is involved in that. And so that's where I am. And I also like when Carl Sagan says billions and billions. It was one of my favorite things growing up.
I think for me, like to look at just the quote itself for a second, I think I do think that there is something to be said about maybe mainstream Christianity and so much focus on decision theology, what we believe, how we state it, and how that affects what happens to us for eternity if we pray it right, if we believe the right way while we pray, right? And so I think there is something to be said about that we start to put so much focus on that exact form of belief versus resting in the promise of who Christ is and who God is revealed in Christ, right? And so I think to an extent, like that's probably why we fight so much in the church, because they're so, we're trying to convince each other of things that, in the same way, I can say this, I don't want to sit on a high horse and talk about it. Like, also, I have very strong beliefs of what it means to believe now because I don't agree with what I just previously said, right? And so, like, I see, like, there's going to be things that are going to be really hard to convince me now that I believe the way I do,
But
right?
you grew up that way.
Yeah.
And just hearing the freeing word of the gospel allowed you to move from that, which Carl Sagan is saying that can't happen.
Right. But and that's one of the things, like, even in saying, like, even in processing, that's so interesting you said that, because even processing, having therapy of how I grew up right now, but, like, even, like, processing how I said this was true, I basically said it's not
True. Yeah.
right? Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Like, yeah, because thank God, I was able to kind of learn and grow from that. Hopefully not kind of. Hopefully I did learn and grow. But, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the things I don't like about Dr. Carl Sagan is he tends to be a bit flippant.
Yes.
And this is a really flip
I agree.
thing to say.
Yeah. It is not scientifically thought out.
No, it's sort of right. It sounds good. It's a funny sound bite, right? Their need to believe. When it comes right down to it, I think that human beings have a real difficult time believing. Believing is something that is very difficult, right? I mean, in Scripture, the man with the son born blind says, "I believe, help my disbelief," which means that belief and disbelief both exist in our hearts, in our minds, in our consciousnesses, all at the same time. So I think that this is kind of, there are a couple examples of Carl Sagan just taking something, simplifying it to a point that's kind of ridiculous, and then kind of making fun of it in a way that is, I think, not deeply thought out and not seriously discussed.
Not potentially helpful.
Correct.
Right.
Not helpful at all.
Right.
Yeah, more just making fun, right? I mean,
That's basically what it is.
It's kind of, that's what it is, I think. And I don't think it really has a lot of basis in anything other than that.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
So we spent too much time on something that doesn't
But
matter.
welcome to the well, where we will still discuss it.
For six, at
For
least
6.5 minutes.
Look at Mel, see?
Mel.
Like, even Mel's like, oh,
Mel
my
gave it
goodness.
to us.
Hey, it's your fault.
That's right. All right. Want to do one more, Mel? All right, let's do it. I don't think there's any more Carl Sagan in there. We'll see. People talk about that a lot. Okay, here he is, and here we go. Thanks a lot, Mel.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you, Mel.
That was his
Mel
eyeball
hit his
again.
eyes again.
Discuss this quote from John Wesley. Though we cannot think alike, May we not love alike? May we not be of one heart, though we are not of one opinion? Was this one of his defenses to the church?
I think this was just, one
Though
of
we
his
cannot
statements.
think alike, may we not love alike? May we not be of one heart, though we are not of one opinion?
I just have a soft spot for, I just love that
Yeah.
we're ending on this one.
This is good. I think I think there's beauty. Again, there's beauty and diversity of thought. Like we are each different. We have different experiences of life, different cultures, right? And so we are not going to think alike, and that's part of what makes us who we are. And there's so much beauty in that. I think where it becomes hard is difference has, I would say, at least in the culture that I'm grew up in, and kind of American culture and stuff. I would say that there's a lot of value placed on, well, think like this person, and then you're this, or think like this person, and then you're this. And so if we don't think like, then we can't love. And so I think there's just, I really like this quote. So I'm not sure I can add much more than I agree. I mean, I could pick it apart, but just to agree with him. I'll say this. I think we hear a call from, I don't like talking sides all the time, but we hear a call on issues from whatever side it is, and there's a lot of polarization in the U.S. right now, right? And we hear a call. Well, if we just have unity is the answer. But there seems to, no matter who says it, there seems to be a form of unity in what I think, right? Or unity to become like me, or whatever it is. And I'm not going to shy away from saying that. There are some cases where I'm like, man, if everybody would just think this way that I think, it would be easier. Would it actually? Probably not. But that, I think for me, one heart doesn't mean one thought. One heart means, are we based on caring for one another at the deepest level, just being human together? That doesn't mean we think alike. Doesn't mean we look alike. Doesn't mean we love alike. But it means that we do look at the basis of how are we connected at the basic level of our humanity. What connects us versus divides us is a different sense of unity that pulls us away from just a thought or opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Easier said than done, of course, but.
I'm also going to briefly state my love for this love.
Yes.
I sometimes wish that we in the Lutheran Church had a little more Wesley and a little bit less Luther.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I
quote
don't know
me
if
on
I'm
that
allowed
if
to
you want
say
to.
that at this stage in my life.
Be very, very careful.
But Wesleyan theology really does center on love. I mean, it just is the center of God, the center of belief, the center of the universe. And I think it's a wonderful way to come at this. What this reminds me of is the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address, which is something that the multiple tribes of the Haudenosaunee Native American peoples, before a big decision is talked about, or debated, or anything like that, they come together and spend a lengthy amount of time expressing gratitude to every element of creation that came together to make this moment possible for them. So they enter into debate by grounding themselves first in creation's love for them and their love for creation and the unity that is found in that, right? What if we could love first and then talk and then discuss, right? And I think that to come back to Bonhoeffer's Life Together Again, that is one of the basic tenets that he lifts up in living with each other, is that love comes first and then everything else.
I also like this quote very much, and if you listen to my sermons, you know that the love of God and ours being able to love one another is really big. When Jay was talking about the differences things, is where I run into a problem is when we don't go in with that love and start questioning the humanity of those who disagree with us, which I think has become pretty rampant. I mean,
It almost becomes common, right?
I mean, there's just a radio host who I won't name who's been attacking parents who've lost children in a school shooting by saying it was all false. He's denied the humanity of those children and denied the humanity of the parents, and thank goodness the court denied him the access to his money by allowing that suit to go through. And it's almost become second nature for us to deny the humanity of those that don't agree with us.
Correct.
And that I have a real problem with. And that's why I think talking about love like Wesley did here is so important, because once we decide that someone is not human, we can kill them. I think that's what happened when the young man came up to Kenosha and started hunting people. And that might have been a political statement to some, but I don't go anywhere with a gun and intent of using it without it being a hunting.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to say this too, but people who are trying to consolidate power by controlling others can stoke others' belief that other people are not human, so as to control their violence to serve the ends of those powerful people.
Right. And that, to me, is ultimate evil.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think with that, like in some of the learning done with like racial reconciliation and such, that just how harmful and tilted towards keeping power the idea of I don't see color is, right? Because we're taking away a whole layer, if you will, of somebody's humanity.
Yes.
And that does matter. And unity doesn't mean we're all the same. Right. It means we celebrate our differences. We understand that our experiences are different based on a whole number of things. In this case, of course, the color of our skin, right? And so, yeah, I think I won't go too much further based on time because we could do a podcast on this. But I think it does matter. I'll say Wesley. I continue the love of Wesley conversation just because in my faith journey, and I know that this episode kind of showed a little of my faith journey, but Wesley was kind of the bridge for me because it kind of kind of how I grew up and where I'm at now. Like both
he's
are
a gateway Christian.
Yeah, he's a gateway Christian.
Gateway, Protestant, mainstream Protestant.
But Wesley, both people kind of dip into that pool, like
gateway theology.
Gateway theology.
See, it's a little Wesley. You can do that, right? Yeah, and then once you're doing that, you just do a little Luther.
Yeah. Here we are, the crazy radical youth director.
And you're going into Moltmann and John Douglas Hall and just getting into all the different Rachel Held Evans, and you just don't know where you're going to end up.
Right.
All right. But we're going to end up with some treats. Closer to the microphone.
There you go.
End up with some treats. Sorry. I thought he was
all relaxed.
All right.
So this is a recipe from a church that I have to tell you that did this thing that they took the old church cookbook from like the 50s, late 40s and 50s, and they scanned it into a PDF and made it available online. Nice. So people, millennials like me, or whatever. But so this is called the peanut butter cup. And
it tastes like a peanut butter cup,
but not as gritty.
I knew that was coming.
There's crunched up crackers in there.
Mm-hmm. Crunched up.
It's
crackers.
intentionally gritty.
Yeah, it's not apologizing for its grit.
No.
I ran rings around your logic.
See, this is where we focus on the love part, even in the difference of opinion. No.
Right. This is delicious.
So I'll say when I was making this, I was like, all right, so basically I'm making a scotcheroo, but it's not. It's actually graham crackers.
Okay.
It's crushed up graham crackers. I'm gonna. It makes a 9 by 13 pan, so like the size that we're eating is okay. An ungodly amount of powdered sugar, like I probably shouldn't even name how much. It's like 3.5 cups. Yeah. In a cup of peanut butter and then crushed up graham crackers. Yeah, get your insulin.
Now, is this not baked?
Nope.
Okay, so it's just...
And then just melt the chocolate on top. And I think it's one of those that like the little like inch by inch square that we had is probably
I was going to
perfect.
say, you know what? It's more like candy to me than like a cookie or like a cake or like a bar. I mean, it is sweet.
Rich.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me of those peanut butter balls, like those Christmas ones that have Rice Krispies in them. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's like, whoops.
That you're
sorry.
supposed to
It's
just
like
eat
that
one of.
much. Yeah. Because but it is, I love chocolate and peanut butter. So it's 5. See? All or nothing. 5. I
But
don't
it's
know.
chocolate
I'm a
peanut butter, so
9.
it deserves a 5.
I know. I'm a 9, so I just give everything a 5.
So,
Except for my own thing, which I gave a 1.
so
This is really a 5.
hearing that confession is good for the soul. I will give this caveat. This does not include pineapple on pizza, but often I will say I don't like something just to get people's cockles up. The truth is coming out now. I don't want it to be talked about until it is aired. I actually love Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh
No way.
no! What is life?
Are you joking?
Are you messing with us right now? Like
I've been messing with you for the last 6 months or however long it's been.
I feel betrayed.
What? You love them?
Oh, I love Reese's peanut butter cups.
Are you like you were intentionally not even eating them around us in the office?
I'll tell you how much I love Reese's peanut butter
Are you
cups.
serious right now?
If you buy them in Canada, you get 3 in a package, not just 2.
That
do
sounds like a
love
very
them.
American thing.
So we didn't talk about that.
Y'all listen to this. I am
What?
shook.
So I actually give that a 5.
I am
but yeah.
messed up right now. I'm sorry. I don't know why they got me.
Jay, you knew what he was going to say, right? Or you had
Yeah.
it in your mind?
You know, it just finally came to this where I could no longer hold it together anymore, and I had to confess. But I have to say, there are 2 things that I do take a very strong stand on, and that is the lack of red sauce on a hot dog, and you don't put pineapple on a pizza. That is more genetic than anything else. The Reese's peanut butter cup was just another way to irritate Jay.
Awesome.
It worked. No, I'm just kidding. I'll give it a 5 because I just. But again, like more as you said, more as a candy than like a dessert bar that you're taking.
It's a candy.
Yeah,
It's a candy.
And it's literally named peanut butter cup.
Oh, peanut butter,
in the recipe. So
I live in peanut butter. I live in it. Yeah. Yes, 5 all day long.
And the Reese's peanut butter cup was actually discovered by an individual who worked hard with his family to make the first peanut butter cup and to make it so that it could be sellable and maintained. And he did that just with his family to go against one of the largest candy companies at the time.
really,
Yeah.
Fascinating.
wow. Didn't know that.
And then he was bought out by
And he was bought out by one of the
Yeah,
largest.
yeah.
I was like, where is that? Are we gonna have that part? Do we have a God moment?
I got one if you need
Ooh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. We're filming this on the first day of school.
Yeah, we are.
And Jay can relate to this a little bit. He and I both have kindergartners now. And so I got to drop. I had the privilege of being able to drop Jude off at his first day of kindergarten today. And anybody who's met Jude knows that he's a very shy and anxious child. He's also not a he's not a morning person, and so we have been shaking and like trying to figure out how kindergarten is going to work because it means he has to be up at least an hour earlier.
Seriously.
And this morning this morning was just, it was out of nowhere. We were the first ones in line at school at kindergarten this morning. The first ones in line, and he led his group of kindergarten classmates into the school. Didn't look back at me. He just, with full confidence, just ready to take on this new challenge in life. I cried a little bit.
that's amazing.
I might be like holding on to that his insecurities and like, and seeing that he was able to go and tackle that without needing mom and dad kind of made me choke up a little bit. But
that's cool.
yeah, proud dad here.
Very good.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you for journeying to the well with us. May God's peace be with you.
The Well is a podcast of St. Luke's ELCA in Middleton, Wisconsin. You can follow for new episodes airing every other Thursday on St. Luke's website or wherever you get your podcasts. If you would like to drop a question in the Well, you can dive over to stlukes-elca.org/thewell to submit your questions there. The Well is sponsored by St. Luke's Foundation. The foundation is dedicated to leaving a legacy for future generations. You can learn more at stlukes-elca.org/foundation. Thanks for listening, and we'll meet you next time here at The Well.